Steph Curry became the 26th player in NBA history to reach 25,000 career points over the weekend. Let's see how it all went down. Steph Curry looking to reach a major career milestone as the Warriors host the Pistons. Uh-oh, here we go. Steph heating up off the curl. As Jimmy Butler found Curry. Curry now the 26th player, as I mentioned, to reach 25,000 points. Under 9 to go in the fourth. Warriors trailing by 5.
Crazy.
Curry gets the ball in the paint, takes the contact, throws it up, gets the roll in. And here's Steph again. Oh no.
Dave,
come on.
How do you defend that, Dave?
The bank is open on the weekend. Warriors with the win. 2 good games between
That's
Detroit
the Davidson GM there.
and the Warriors this season.
Assistant.
And there's no one who benefited more from Jimmy's presence recently than Steph. He's now 7 threes away from reaching 4,000 career regular season triples. He'd obviously be the first player to ever achieve that. And that could happen tonight, potentially. Steph has 145 games with 7 or more threes, including 11 this season alone. So for more on Steph, let's welcome in our Warriors reporter, Om Youngmisuk, who's in the hot seat now. All right, they host the Trailblazers, right? Can he do it tonight?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he only needs, 7 threes to match. The one thing he'll say, though, is he does not want to think about this. The last time he thought about 29-73, he said he put himself into a funk for like 5 games. So he's trying not to think about it. Of course, I sent him questions recently gave him questions about looking back at all his favorite threes. I would say he told me, which I think was a little bit of a shocker. I asked him, what's the three that changed everything for you? He said it was this 31-footer in the 4th game of the start of the 2015-16 season in New Orleans over Anthony Davis. It was off a broken play, and he said it changed his irrational confidence in taking deep range threes. I thought it was going to be like, double bang in Oklahoma City or the corner 3 in New Orleans where Anthony Davis tackles it.
So first off, my compliments. What a great question, and he gave a very thoughtful answer where we learned from Steph. I appreciate that, but excuse me, the man was irrationally confident for a decade before that. We saw him at Davidson. He took some crazy shots there. Yeah. So
he says this one is the one that exchanged.
Of course, he has to be right.
Extended his range, basically.
Okay.
Yes. But I asked him his toughest three. He said the one where Anthony Davis tackled him in the corner.
Right.
His obviously.
It wasn't the one again in the Olympics?
No. I don't know. He said
the one in the Olympics was one of the craziest shots I've ever seen.
I know.
KD and LeBron were wide open. He wasn't passing the ball.
But he didn't want it.
He said his most memorable deep three was the Oklahoma City from the logo shot, the double bang from Green, of course. Yeah. He said his
one of, I believe, only 8 double bangs.
And his favorite three was on the parquet floor in Boston, Game 4. At the end, he had that huge performance that basically kind of turned the series.
That was
he had 43 points. I think 10 rebounds in that game or something like that. That's the one that basically won them the championship, basically won him Finals MVP. That was his favorite three. But yeah, there's the one that he said was his most memorable clutch three. And of course, I then said, what about your favorite buzzer beater? He goes, I haven't had any really. He goes, the only one I've had that was a 3 was at the end of the 3rd quarter. It was a 62-foot heave in Memphis, basically for Beale Street.
There's a lot of threes, so we could go through this for a long time. But what has the Butler addition done for this team?
I sat down with Jimmy Butler in New York at the hotel.
Any coffee?
No, we did talk coffee, though. Oh. The day after they beat the Knicks. And he told me, we've turned the bleeping corner last night. The Warriors felt they found something in that game in the second half at Madison Square Garden defensively, but offensively, Jimmy says they have figured out how to play with them and not just, you'll maybe appreciate this, my Miami dude, Sedano. He said, it's not just about isolating me. It's about utilizing me differently, utilizing me in many different ways. And what Steve Kerr had been preaching to the team was basically pass the ball, move the ball until we get to Jimmy inside. And then Jimmy can either facilitate, which he does a lot.
So he was insinuating that wasn't the case? They weren't utilizing him in different ways?
He just likes to say, you can use me more than just isolating me. And for whatever reason, I always feel like that's something that's about Miami.
Okay. Well, I'd be curious to see what the film looks like over those 5 years. But nonetheless, what about Jonathan Kuminga?
Jonathan Kuminga has been scrimmaging a lot. I think they're being very careful with him. Perhaps he could come back. The next game would be Thursday against Sacramento. Steve Kerr, though, says they will bring him back slowly and in short bursts, basically. And he does not want to take guys like Guy Santos out of the rotation, feeling that those guys have earned it because they've been playing really well.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating to see what happens with the rotation in that scenario. All right, let's get to what you missed. In case you missed it, the chef is cooking something off the court as well. Let's bring back our guy, Shams Charania here, senior NBA insider. All right, Shams, what more can you tell us about what Steph is doing with his alma mater, Davidson?
George, Stephen Curry might be doing his best Bob Myers impersonation. He has accepted a role as assistant general manager of both the men's and women's programs at Davidson College, his alma mater. And this is essentially an advisory role to provide mentorship, guidance to male and female athletes at Davidson College, specifically the basketball programs. And Stephen Curry and his wife Aisha are also starting an 8-figure fund for the university's programs. And this does make some history here, George. Stephen Curry becomes the first active player in a U.S. major sport to take an administrative role with an NCAA team. So Stephen Curry today returning to Davidson College as an assistant general manager.
That's awesome stuff, Shams. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring in David Dennis Jr. because, Shams, I don't know if you know this, he's a Davidson alum. So how come they didn't call you, David?
Well, I try not to talk a lot about my time at Davidson. I try to be a little, not talk about it so much. But, yeah, I talked to Chris Clooney, the AD at Davidson. Look at these pictures. Wow, look at these throwback pictures.
There might have been some irrational confidence that
Yeah, I think there was some. the pink was very rationally confident. Thank you very much. But, yeah, look at these times at Davidson. I saw that irrational confidence when he was making those threes against Elon back in the day. But I talked to the AD, Davidson, Chris Clooney. He was talking about the fact, look, Steph Curry's not going to be here breaking down game film and telling you who to put on the team and things like that. But he is going to be in an advisory role. One of the big things that when Steph was at Davidson, they were in the SoCon conference. You get out with a bid automatically if you win that conference. They moved to the AT. The competition is stiffer. There's a lot more money in there. And he wants to help Davidson and help some of those players get on a March Madness-like run because he knows that Steph Curry's legacy started with that Elite Eight run.
No doubt about it.
Teams that they feel like they can beat. They've had some struggles with that. Well, you know a lot about that in Miami.
But now they won. And it was a big night for Jason Tatum. Tatum would have his third career 40-point game against the Lakers, tying John Havlicek for the most in Celtics history. Tatum had 40 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists in that contest on Saturday night on ABC.
They had no one who could defend him. Without Rui, it was a tough ball game on the perimeter for them.
Third quarter action. Here's Tatum with the steal. Derek White on the other end for the layup.
I was expecting to chase down block on that one.
A few minutes later, Luka Doncic drives, gets blocked by Tatum.
At the top of his game even before he got hurt.
Yeah, you could tell. He looked tired. He was short in a lot of shots. I thought Richard Jefferson did a really good job describing that during the game. Fourth quarter, Lakers down 9. LeBron goes down low, and this is where he gets the bucket, but clearly tweaked something.
I wonder if it was bothering before, George, because he just didn't look right in this game to me.
And there he is asking out. LeBron would leave the game with a groin strain and did not return. The Celtics beat the Lakers 111 to 101. All right, now.
The first thing that popped in my mind was Christmas Day, my first year with the Lakers. The first thing that popped in my mind, and I've been there before, and I know what type of injury you're dealing with. Second thing I thought about was AD. It's crazy, but I thought about AD. And then I'm over there just trying to see how much mobility and see if I can possibly give it a go. And then I came back here and did a couple of stretches and a couple of things that ultimately knew that I was probably going to be done for the rest of the night. So.
All right, so we'll see what LeBron's future looks like. And Dave McMenamin now joining us here on NBA Today. All right, what's next for LeBron and the Lakers? What are the expectations here, Dave, with LeBron's injury?
Yeah, well, George, first of all, I have an answer for Windy there. I asked LeBron, was this a lingering injury? And he said, no, it actually happened in that play with about 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when he pivoted in the lane to try to score over Jaylen Brown and thought he overextended something. But right now, the Lakers are allowing the injury to, quote, calm down before they seek further evaluation. And until that happens, they won't have a treatment and recovery plan in place for LeBron, but they're still operating under the assumption that this is going to be an injury that sidelines LeBron for several weeks. And beyond that, now the Lakers are playing the Nets tonight. There's no LeBron, there's no Jackson Hayes, there's no Dorian Finney-Smith, there's no Rui Hachimura. With all those guys out, I spoke to a source close to Luka Doncic, and I wondered how was he feeling about shouldering the responsibility of the team right now. And the messaging I received after asking that question was he recognizes that their success up to this point has been by committee, so he's not going to try to take everything on himself right here. He recognizes it's on everyone to pick up the pieces, and certainly Luka, much the same way LeBron gave him the idea of patience when he got to the Lakers and had that calf injury and was sidelined, extended into his beginning of his career with the Lakers, where LeBron said, take your time so you can be yourself when you come back. Luka has the same idea for LeBron. Take your time, get healthy, because we want you to be at the top of your game when you get back.
All right, Dave, thanks so much for the information as always, brother. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
All right, the Lakers have a pretty jam-packed slate ahead after Monday night against the Nets. Starting on Thursday, the Lakers will play 6 games in 8 days because of a makeup date with the Spurs from the LA Wildfire. So, Ramona, how concerning is this regarding LeBron's injury in the Lakers?
I was concerned when he referenced that injury that he suffered on Christmas Day in 2018, because that was, he at the time said, this is one of the most significant injuries I've ever suffered. And he, at that time, he said, I felt a pop. So the fact that he even put it in the same ballpark as that was very concerning for me, because I remember how bad the last one was. And he knocked on wood. He goes, I don't think it's as bad as that. But to even bring that up is a concerning reminder of how this can affect him and his play. Also, just their schedule has no room for error. And I think, you know, I would not rush him back at all, because he's been so important for what they've been doing, but they don't have a lot of margin for error at the end of here if they want to stay up in the top of the standings.
David, what do you want to see from Luka in this time?
Well, Luka's going to have to be Dallas Mavericks Luka. He is going to have to make up for the fact that defense that has been sort of the anchor while he was there, when he first got there, it won't be that good. And he's going to have to, you know, maximize a lot of that other offense, a lot of his teammates, and he is going to have to shoulder the load. There's no room for him to be tired in the fourth quarter and lean on LeBron. He's got to be prime level Luka for the next couple weeks at least.
Brian, can he do that? He was also kind of reaching for his back during that game. Is this a blessing in disguise if he is healthy for them?
Okay, so I know this isn't going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. Laker fans, just chill. Just chill. You might take some losses coming up. It's not the end of the world.
Okay.
The schedule next week is insane. 5 games in 7 days. You don't even schedule that way anymore in the NBA. The way they had to jam this game in is unfortunate. Luka is going to probably rest for some of that. You know, LeBron wouldn't have played all those games. If they take some losses here and they lose a little bit of positioning, it's not the end of the world. They're still buffeted well from the play-in. They will give Luka a chance maybe to pick it up. Now, it doesn't surprise me what Dave said, that Luka isn't going to guarantee he's going to come out and score 40.
Yeah.
But David's right. That's what he needs to do, because the Lakers didn't lose on Sunday because of their defense. They lost because they couldn't score. They couldn't hit a 3 in the second half. So I think it's a great opportunity for Luka without a lot of pressure. They don't have Jackson Hayes. They don't have Rui Hachimura. They're dealing with an injury to Finney Smith. Unfortunately, he can't play in his return game tonight to Brooklyn. So just if they take a couple of losses, don't worry about it. They're going to be okay. And this injury happens at an okay time. If it's not if it's super severe, it doesn't matter. If LeBron tears his groin, it doesn't matter. The season's in jeopardy anyway. If it's just a basic groin strain, it happens with a month left in the regular season. He will have ample time to get back in position.
Wendy, have you seen this on SportsCenter yet?
As Wendy would say, when he's not signing, and he can, something's going on in New York. And it was.
You just made $200
Trademark that?
$50 each of them.
There you go. LeBron was not the only injury to affect the top 6 playoff team. Wendy, what are you watching across the league?
So look, I talked about injuries. We got injuries for this last few days to a bunch of top teams. Let's start with Jalen Brunson. He had that turned ankle that he had here in LA last week. The Knicks didn't say it was a secondary ankle sprain, but that's essentially what their timeline is set it at. That's typically a 2 to 4 week injury. Okay, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4. It's going to hurt them, especially when they're out on the West Coast. But again, they're pretty, it's locked into that third position. They just can't fall apart as a team. Karl Towns is back. They should have enough time to recover from that. Same situation in Memphis, Jaren Jackson. Last week, he suffers a second-degree ankle sprain. Again, a multi-week injury. They're going to go week to week. This happens at a rough time because of where the Grizzlies are in their schedule. They've got a tough weekend coming up. They got the Cavs coming in on Friday. But it does give him time to heal, and there's teams around them that have injuries. So it's not ideal, but Ja Morant has had 2 excellent games in a row pushing through a shoulder injury. This could help him get going. And then you've got one more, which is down in Houston. This is the team in fourth place right now. The Houston Rockets, a very unfortunate injury to Amen Thompson on Saturday night. He was back in the game to chase a triple-double. First possession, turns his ankle, and he is now going to be out, Shams says, 1 to 2 weeks. They are already struggling without Fred VanVleet. He's missed the last 15 games. Their offense has cratered during that run. Amen has been terrific scoring in addition to his great defense. VanVleet is getting closer. I believe he's questionable for tonight, so if he doesn't come back today, he'll be soon. But teams 2, 3, 4, all suffering injuries, in the Western Conference standings.
It seemed on that it was extra windy in Houston for whatever reason. It just seemed that way. David, which of those teams are you most concerned about?
It's the Grizzlies. I don't know how they're going to sustain that defense without Jaren Jackson Jr. That's going to be tough for them, and they've lost some really, really close games as of late before getting blown out by OKC. They were number 2 in the West, and now they're fighting to stay somewhere in the home court advantage.
That's a good one. I think the Knicks, though, because they just don't play enough guys, right? Like, everybody's playing so many minutes that losing Brunson can be tough.
He's also so important for their clutch play. He's probably the leader for the clutch award this year. And the thing about it is, when they have clutch games, which they have a lot of them, they really don't have another gear. It's usually...
Thank you, David. Shams, you're the man. The Nuggets, 1 and 2 seeds in the West, the top 2 favorites for MVP. Jokic, SGA.
He's very
locked in.
Early in the first, Nuggets leading by 7. Jokic going to work. Aaron Gordon with the putback and the and one. But he'll leave the game with a calf injury, something he's been dealing with throughout the season. All right, let's get late to the first quarter after losing Gordon. Nuggets up 6. Jokic takes a spill here, hits his elbow, and the training staff has to ice him up.
Yeah, on his shooting hand, too.
Not good. Yeah,
He was short on a lot of threes for the rest of the game.
Under 2 minutes left. SGA goes at it. Jokic with the block. And here comes the outlet. Christian Brown. Over the head to Michael Porter Jr. Bang, as Mike Breen would say. A three-pointer. Here come the Nuggets again. Look at Russ, but rejected by Jalen Williams. Michael Porter couldn't finish. SGA on the other end. Gets the hoop and the harm.
Doesn't sweat.
Never.
He's going to have 20 points. For that streak he's going to break that.
58th consecutive game, third most in the NBA since 2000. Now Jokic goes here.
Former teammates.
Gets the work in for sure. Jokic, the step back 3 on Hartenstein, short, but Russ is right there, finds Jamal Murray, drains the three-pointer.
Best minimum contract in the league, Russ.
Good argument.
Fourth quarter action now. SGA blows by Murray, as Dave Pash said, gets the layup.
Even his face on that, he was like, oh.
2 minutes later, Jokic loses it there. Thunder on the run. Lou Dort with the hammer.
What's
he missed it.
more than 2?
Right, but smartly gets to the corner. Fly by. Dort nails it.
Just how they drew it up.
Analytics are ruining the game. You missed a dunk just to hit a 3, guys.
OKC with the big win. Pull it away in the fourth quarter.
Excited, Shay.
Here's Shay.
We're able to get stops down the stretch and then just execute. That's what it's going to come down to when teams are so good. It's never going to be pretty all the time, but if you get stops and execute, you give yourself a chance no matter who you play.
I think we had opportunities, like I had 10 open threes and missed it, so I think we had the opportunity, we just missed it.
Did your elbow bother you at all after that fall?
A little bit, but it's okay.
It should be okay. It's going to be okay because Shams is here now. By the way, I think Jokic wore that jacket in your honor there, Shams. That leather jacket. Shams Charania, our senior NBA insider, the best in the business. All right, Thunder play again tonight against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. What do we know about the status of Jokic and Aaron Gordon, who both were dinged up yesterday, Shams?
George, Nikola Jokic is questionable to play tonight. He's dealing with issues in not just his left elbow, but also his right elbow. So both elbows have issues going on. He is banged up, but I'm told he will warm up tonight with the intention to try to play. There is optimism that he's going to be able to give it a go here on this back-to-back against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The bigger concern, though, for the Denver Nuggets is Aaron Gordon, their two-way stalwart. He is out tonight with a right calf injury. He also has been dealing with an ankle sprain, but that calf, he suffered strains in November, December, and again here this month. And it's likely that he needs some period of time to rest both his ankle and his calf. I'm told the Nuggets will likely spend the next couple days after tonight's game to figure out the best treatment plan for Aaron Gordon.
Tough stuff for Denver there. Shams, thanks, man. You're the man. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you later. Yes, sir. There he is. All right, so the Thunder have another gear that they can hit, especially late in games, and Sunday was another example of that. OKC outscored their opponent by 15 or more in the final quarter 6 different times this season, and 4 of them have come against, check this, the Nuggets, the Celtics, the Warriors, and the Knicks. So, Brian, what did last night tell you about these teams?
The spread in between them. The Thunder's margin for error is enormous. Denver's margin for error is much smaller. Obviously, you lose Aaron Gordon in this game. It makes a huge difference. What happened, Chet Holmgren feasted as soon as Gordon went off the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay, he scored 40 points in this game. B- performance, in all honesty. He's such a good player that he can play at less than his top level and still dominate the game. Guys, he took 11 threes in this game. George, I know you did the sidelines for this game. I almost wonder if he was just kind of messing around. Not messing around, but like just taking a look at what it would be like to shoot some more threes. Like, if this was a game that really had something important on the line, he does not take 11 threes, and he might score 50 points. That's how good they are. He can go 2 for 11, and they can still win this game running away.
Well, that's the luxury that the Thunder have, because we just saw the stat about outscoring teams by 15 points in the fourth quarter. This is the 3rd time they've outscored a team by 20 in the fourth quarter. That's the most in franchise history since the Sonics did in '88, right? Like, the 2 things that teams have that are unstoppable in this league right now, one is when the Celtics are in the 3-point barrage and nobody can stop them, and the other is when the Oklahoma City Thunder clamp down defensively, and there is no answer for it. Even with Jokic on the court, they shut them down. They turned the TV off in the fourth quarter, and they just took the game away. They have a 12 to 15-minute stretch like that. Nobody can do anything about that defense.
They just have so much depth. I mean, you're watching in the fourth quarter of that game, and it was a close game. And I remember at the end, Dave has to go, this has turned into a blowout. Well, they're actually beating teams by an average of 13 points a year. That would break an NBA record from the 1971-72 and LA Lakers that won 33. Point differential. Yep. So to me, this is routine for them because they have so much depth. Like, they have 3-4 guys that can have a big game every night. But what I saw Shai, I mean, you're right, Brian. It was an easy 40. Like, he could have had 50 if he shot a little bit better. And he was fresh at the end of the game. And I thought with Jokic, with the elbow, he had to play more. He has to do more. Shai can close like that because he's getting rest. He doesn't have to have all that on him the entire game.
To your point, David, they were playing Memphis the other night on ESPN. And
Same
similar
thing.
things. It was a 6-point game with 6 minutes to go. And then with 3 minutes to go, it was a 20-point game. And to your point, Brian, they are experimenting. There's no question. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And they're also experimenting with their 2 big lineup, right? Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. They've only played like 8 or 9 games together at this point. But in this particular contest, look at the difference when those 2 were on the floor together. Their offensive rating, 141.7. Their defensive rating would be historic by a wide margin of 83.8. Now, only 18 minutes, small sample size, but that's all you need. Those 18 minutes can absolutely strangle any opponent.
I feel like for the Nuggets fans, I should point out that with 10 minutes left to go in the game, there was an obvious foul that would have been Chet Holmgren's 6th, where he hit Russell Westbrook in the head that was uncalled. Having said that, 26 minutes Holmgren played in this game. He was held down a little bit by foul trouble. He's over plus 30. I think it was plus 32 in those 26 minutes. When they can go to those lineups that can stress out other teams, either going extra small or extra big, it just makes them harder to deal with, especially on their home court, where they're going to be throughout the Western Conference playoffs.
All right. Do they have doubters still? Are you guys, anybody here a doubter still of the Thunder?
I mean, I'm not I think they can do it, but when you're a young team, the question is, will you do it? And they feel different this year. I mean, when you were around them last year, it was kind of a surprise. They were a year ahead of schedule. This year, I feel like they believe. But I would say with the Nuggets, like they have such little margin for error. That update that Shams gave on Aaron Gordon was really important. If he's out an extended period of time because they have such little margin for error, he's got to be healthy for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But this Thunder team, I've been around them a number of times already this season. They are as focused and locked in as any young team I've ever seen. All right, one more thing I want to show before we move on. Check this out. First quarter, Russ checks in, and a standing ovation there in OKC. This is the 7th time he's returned to OKC with a different team, and it was like the first all over again. Yeah. This was going on for a good amount of time while we were at the arena yesterday, so shout out to Russ.
Number 0 will be in the rafters.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that was just one game from a packed weekend of hoops. It's time for our big three top plays of the weekend. At number 3, Milwaukee Bucks, Jericho Sims. Magic and Bucks. It's Saturday. A.J. Green finds Jericho Sims and puts Jonathan Isaac on a poster.
And should have gotten a flop warning on top of it. With all due respect.
Don't take charges on dunks.
Sorry, Jonathan Isaac. We didn't mean to do that to you. Number 2.
I think we did.
Well, maybe we did. Not purposely. The way it turned out. Cole Anthony. Giannis loses his defender, but Cole Anthony denies the Greek freak.
Edwards elevation.
Jeez.
Cole Anthony. Standing 6'2", by the way, against
It was a dunk
Giannis.
contest. Remember that?
Yeah. He did it in
Timberland.
Yeah, I
One of
remember.
the highlight-filled games of the week.
And number 1, Trey Murphy.
He comes in at number 1 a lot.
Jose Alvarado, he's going to lob it up from half court to Trey. And look at that. What a finish.
I don't know where he was.
Maybe he didn't.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, no, he did. He saw it.
That is an acrobatic finish right there. I love the starting out across town at the Intuit Dome. We've seen Kawhi Leonard do this before. Just ask the 2019 Sixers. This time, it's a cold-blooded floater. Left-handed buzzer beater to sink the Kings in OT. Amazingly, this was only his second career buzzer beater. Shout out to Stats Williams.
Well, I remember the other one.
Yeah, we all do.
There you go.
DDJ, people sleeping on the Clippers?
A little bit. First of all, Kawhi, 2 buzzer beaters in his career, hit the rim 6 times. That's a 3 rim average on buzzer beaters there. I think, the Clippers were, they at the beginning of the season, they said they were only going to win 35 games. They've already reached that mark. They're going to be an annoying out in the first round.
Hope Ty Lue's feeling better, because I know he sat out yesterday. Anthony Edwards was so locked in for Sunday's 25-point performance that Chris Finch had to hold him back from checking in again.
I still want to give him another technical.
Even with the game in hand. Brian, what's the biggest X factor for the Wolves?
Well, they hit 21 threes in this game. Dante DiVincenzo is warming up. They've got 5 straight wins now. They're trying to rally their way out of the play-in zone. They're finally healthy, getting some traction. Keep an eye on those Wolves.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Julius Randle and Gobert mesh together. That's kind of the one thing I still think they need to work out. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant just got what they needed. A win over a defensive Mavs squad to stay in the play-in race. Ramona, KD, and Book, they got the job done, but does this game tell us anything about the Suns' playoff hopes?
They're still in it, which is basically what all those 4 teams that are vying for that last spot are hoping to say. There's 4 of them: Dallas, Portland, San Antonio, and the Suns. Phoenix has a really tough closing schedule. 13 of their 18 last games are against top 6 playoff teams, so it's not going to be an easy road, but I think they can get there.
And finally, in Portland, the Trailblazers honored the life and legacy of Bill Walton at the game last night. Walton's family and friends and former teammates paid tribute to the man who led the Blazers to their first and only NBA championship during the 76-77 season. An incredible moment for an even more incredible human being. I've had so many times where I've been sitting having dinner with a guy like Dave Pash, who did 1 million games with Bill. Some of the best stories ever, including this past weekend.
Look at all those grandchildren with red hair.
Yeah, we love Bill, man. Giannis and the Bucks went into yesterday hoping to put a stop to the Cavs' 13-game win streak. There's Donovan Mitchell.
Have you heard about the Cavalanche, George?
I have.
You missed it earlier when you were talking about the power of teams turning on runs.
Yeah, well, they didn't stop Giannis on this one, but he's a mountain of a man, hard to move. So we got a 6-point game. Donovan Mitchell playing with his food, as Mark Jones likes to say. Finds Evan Mobley.
He's underrated. He's improved as a passer this year, too.
Fourth quarter, Donovan Mitchell going to work again.
Here comes the Cavalanche.
Yeah. And this is where they pulled away, certainly in the fourth quarter. Darius Garland finds Jared Allen for the jam on Brook Lopez. The Cavalanche allowed them to pull away. Here's Donovan Mitchell after the game.
And it really starts with, the guy right here next to me, DG, myself, Ev, Jay. Well, what started to sacrifice, everybody's sacrificing. So when we come to playoffs, game 1 may not be your night, game 2 may not be your night, but being ready when your number's called, and guys have shown that consistently throughout the year. And, we haven't done anything yet, Scott. We're just playing the right way, and when it comes to April, we got to handle our business.
All right, so Mitchell told SVP that they're going to handle their business in April, as you heard there. But it hasn't really mattered necessarily this month because Cleveland just keeps winning. They've had multiple, 3 streaks of 10 wins or more, 12 wins or more.
Yeah.
So they've just been incredibly impressive. So why aren't they the favorites in the East?
Exactly what Donovan just said there. That soundbite he has said in one form or another dating back to September, which is it doesn't matter what we do in the regular season. What matters is how we perform in the playoffs. And he says that not just to set the example for his team, but from, experience, because he had some really good teams in Utah. Okay, not this good of a team in Utah, but the Jazz at times were the number one overall seed in the whole playoffs and weren't able to get it done. Weren't even able to get to the conference finals. And so part of it is the Cavs haven't done it yet. Cavs haven't proven that they can win 12 games in a playoff setting, which is what you're going to need to get to the finals. What is very impressive about this team was on display last night. Donovan Mitchell did not have a good shooting night. Darius Garland did not have a good shooting night. Evan Mobley did not have a good shooting night. Yet on the road, they beat a quality team, potential second-round opponent, because they're so deep and have so many different ways they can play.
I think that's the difference, though, with this Cavs team this year compared to last year. When Donovan Mitchell was not scoring like they were kind of rudderless. They did not have second options. Now Garland can get off. Now you can have other ways to win like they did yesterday. But regardless of that, he's averaging 35 points against that Celtics team. So he knows how to show up in these big games. He's had those playoff performances that have been great. And I think he can, the gap is not that big between these two teams.
Ramona, I'll ask you, because we're about a year or so removed where, there was chatter that Darius Garland would be moved or did not want to play on this team in the backcourt with Donovan Mitchell. I know winning cures all, but there seems to be a lot of harmony as well there.
I think it's also just that they've been able to play together a lot more this year. Last year was such an injury-riddled year for them. They've actually been able to find some chemistry. They play so many different ways. They have so many different looks and ways that they can adjust during games depending on the matchup. And you're right about Donovan. I mean, he has been here so many times before, and this isn't a young team on its way up. These are guys who have been in this exact spot, and they know who they're trying to chase down. I like the moves they made at the trade deadline, but it doesn't matter until we get into the playoffs.
We've gone so far without even mentioning DeAndre Hunter, who is the impetus for this winning streak and is a huge difference maker here. They brought him in, one, because he was given the Cavs.
Okay, that's all great. Yeah. Who's taking him over the Celtics on this panel? Because it's not me.
Not yet.
The Celtics are the favorite. Even the Cavs would admit the Celtics, I'm sure the Cavs believe they can win. But even the Cavs would probably tell you, let them be the favorite. They're not worried about getting the attention as potential favorites in March.
I believe it'll be a compelling series, but if you ask me right now, I'm still taking Boston. I'm taking Boston to win the whole thing still at this point.
So am I, but their margin for error last year where they didn't have to sweat it all throughout the whole spring.
Right, that's not
going to be the case.
This series is going 7. It's going 7, and when you go 7,
mark it down.
Mark it down. It's going 7, and when you do 7, anything can happen. You ask Boston about some of those Game 7s in the playoffs and how they feel about going against
Brunson or bust, and now they don't have Brunson for a bit.
Yeah, but they still have Mikal Bridges, and yes, they do play they don't play enough guys, right? They play so many minutes for every single guy out there. It puts an extra strain on them. But I don't know. I think they